Smith, who will lead us in the invocation followed by the pledge of allegiance.
Please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for this day and for all that you have blessed us with. Thank you for keeping us this far, especially with everything going on in today's world. And as I always ask, give us clarity and peace to lead effectively and with truth. All these things we ask in your mighty name. Amen. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Smith. Will the clerk please call the roll for the establishment of the quorum?
Yes.
Councilman Roberts.
Here.
Councilman Smith.
present.
Councilman Harris.
Present.
Mayor Draper.
Here, a quorum is established. Is there a motion to waive the reading of and approve the minutes of the August 2nd regular meeting?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilman Jenkins.
Yes.
Councilman Roberts.
Yes.
Councilman Smith.
Yes.
Councilman Harris.
Yes.
Mayor Draper.
Yes, those minutes are adopted. Mr. Folks, are there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
No, sir.
With that, then, I will move that we adopt the agenda as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilman Jenkins.
Yes.
Councilman Roberts.
Yes.
Councilman Smith.
Yes.
Councilman Harris.
Yes.
Mayor Draper.
Yes, the agenda is adopted. Before we begin tonight, I want to hand it over to Mr. Folks for a very special recognition. We're proud to have members of the Anniston Police Department here. And Mr. Folks, I'm going to turn it over to you for, indeed, very special recognition. We thank
Yes,
you.
sir. A very special recognition. The one I had to do as I read about these gentlemen. But let me say this. When you work for a company and it has a slogan, the slogan means nothing unless you buy into it and actually do what that slogan says. The police say protect and serve. Protect and serve. And that means you go above and beyond. You do those things to serve people. That's what these young men did. They went past what they had to do. They did what needed to be done because they understand a part of that golden rule, doing to others as you have to do. If y'all not read with this Sergeant Jackson, Sergeant Fredman, and Officer Johnson, please stand. I don't know if y'all read what these young men did. They saw someone who was in a tent with a kid and saw them there needing some help. They didn't just stop and just run away and just go there. They said they went and realized what's going on. How can I help you? What can I do? Because I'm in it to serve, not only protect, but to serve. And what they did, they made sure this lady had a kid and they said this can't happen. They went above and beyond and made phone calls and made contacts to everybody to make sure we find somewhere so this family can stay. And then when they did that, not only did that, they went and helped paint, helped move, and helped do everything else. Now we got a citizen that was homeless. This is how you help the homeless. This is how you help those people that can't. You do take your job, you be passionate about your job. And I say, you two, I don't know you as well as but I know the stock he came from. See, his dad is a deaf dog. So that ran with his dad when he was a drill sergeant with me. So I know what background Tim Fredman is. So I appreciate what you all did, but you need to be recognized. Let people know what our police are doing. They're out there doing more than giving tickets because they didn't give her a ticket. They gave her a house. They didn't give that ticket that lady a conversation. They helped her up. That's how we got to do it. That's what we got to do. That's what's so great about this city. I'm proud of what you all did from APD, what you young men did, and I want to recognize you because, again, excellence should be recognized, and that's why I want to give you this coin of excellence. A merit pay don't mean nothing. You did excellence. That don't mean nothing. Those things, little money don't mean nothing. What you did, you will be blessed even way greater than you ever think you're going to be blessed. What you've done to the least of mine, you've done unto me. And I appreciate what you all have done, and I think you should be applauded. And God, I know you got his favor, you got my respect, and I think we should give them a great hand for what they did.
Members of the council?
Yes, please. I want to take a picture.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You make me proud to be from Anniston. Thank you.
Thank you. Another awesome word.
I'm trying not to be a proud of you here. Not only you three, but Stacy, not turning a blind eye and making sure that that child did not go into the system, because the system was not gonna serve her. And so just being willing to step up to the plate, that means a lot to me. A lot to me. So I really want to thank you all for the work that you're doing that is beyond the badge.
I know Stacy as well, and she's an amazing human being, and so is her husband. And I know the two of you are as well. I cannot thank you enough, and you exemplify everything that the rest of us should continue to strive to be. And I appreciate it so very much. Thank you.
God bless you. I mean, God bless you. You are doing wonderful work. You absolutely impact and probably forever change two people's lives. And then, you know, beyond that, I mean, the domino effect from that, I'm blown away. And I sincerely appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Hey, if you don't mind, maybe they get a picture.
Oh, yeah, no, no.
Myra's gonna take a picture. And they dressed appropriately too.
Take it down. She's cute.
My dear.
Thank you again. That's all. I just have to see.
Okay, at this time, we will pivot to a public hearing on the city manager's proposed FY 2023 budget. So that the public will know that the process is that a couple weeks ago, we had a budget presentation from the city manager and Julie. Tonight is the first public hearing on that budget, and then in accordance with the body law that governs us, the Council Manager Act and our body of ordinances, we will take up the budget at a subsequent meeting. So we will actually begin voting on it and taking amendments at our next meeting. The last day to actually pass the budget is the 22nd of September. If no, 27th. I'm sorry. The last day for the council to make amendments to that budget is the 22nd. I apologize. The reason for that is when amendments are made to the budget, a public hearing is required at the subsequent meeting for the public to be apprised again as those amendments and to speak to those amendments. So now I'm going to turn it over to Julie Morelli to go over the high points of the city manager's recommended budget. At that time, I will call for a public hearing, and those members of the public who are here tonight who wish to speak to the budget may do so. If you do, please limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. Julie, I'll hand them to you.
Thank you, Mayor. We're going to be going over the FY 2023 city manager's recommended budget. This budget would start on October 1st and run through September 30th of 2023. The general fund revenues that we're projecting this year, it's a slight increase from 2022, but we've been seeing growth pretty steadily, and you can kind of see how the line goes up, and we think that'll keep going up. A little of that is inflation, and a little bit of that is our sales are just going up, and our sales tax are increasing as we bring more businesses in, which brings our revenue up. This is our sales tax revenue. We're projecting that to be a slight increase, but still fairly flat. You see there was an increase between around FY 2020 from 23.9 to 25. That was because of COVID, and since then we've kind of leveled off, and we're operating at a pretty level pace here. Our general fund expenditures, are gonna match our revenues because we do operate on a balanced budget here. And what we're expecting for our expenditures is about $44 million this year. Our employee strength hasn't changed a lot. We did go from having 26 part-time to 23, and our full-time increased from 335 to 338, and that was shifting 3 30-hour part-timers and just making them full-time. With that, the salaries increased, but the main reason the salaries would have increased this year would be because of the study, the pay classification study, which hasn't been finalized yet, but it is built into the budget. Retirement expenditures, those are steady, they'll continue. The things that we did consider for this budget this year, the step or merit increases for employees, the offer study for pay classification, compensation plan. We still put our fund balance policy, that's still the thing that was considered, and then just making sure we had the right number of employees in public safety, and then our capital outlays or capital improvement plan. Our revenue sources primarily comes from taxes, but we also get money from license fees, fines, charges for service, sales, and other different sources. But we are primarily funded by sales taxes. As a matter of fact, you can see here that a little over 75% of our income is derived from sales tax. This is the way that our expenditures are looking. We're expecting to spend almost $44 million this year. Of that, you can see that most of it is spent on public safety, which is going to be police, fire, and then we also have outside agencies, community development, public works, and then general government. This is just a quick picture of what our stormwater fund looks like. We, as of June, we had already brought in $416,000 in stormwater. Stormwater is based off of basically based off of your property and your property taxes. It is separate, but that's how you that's where it comes from. We get it from the county. We're still proposing about $415,000 for that. For the fire tax, we are projecting about $1 million. Because we are already at that this year, it is a little higher than normal. So we went up some, but we didn't go, we just went up to a little over $1.5 million. Our fire training fund, we have been bringing revenue in here. This is where they hold classes and they do other things at our fire training facility. We're projecting $100,000 there. We've made more money this year than we planned on, so we bumped that up to $100,000 from $70,000. Our gas tax funds, we are projecting that to be about $69,000 for the 4 and 5 cent, $160,000 for the rebuild Alabama, and then the 7 cent will be about $80,000. These are all used for roads, bridges, and for your roads and bridges, streets is what you can use these funds for. They're restricted. Our capital outlay, I'm not putting the whole thing up here for exactly what these are, but we are proposing that we spend $1.3 million on vehicles, $813,000 on machinery and equipment, almost $17 million on projects, and then $911,000 on facility improvements. The next steps, as the mayor was talking about, we have the budget, the presentation and public hearing tonight, and then on September 6th, we'll either adopt it or make changes, have a hearing, and then we move on. Again, the last day to adopt that budget is September 27th. And that's it. It's a quick rundown. Any questions?
Any questions, comments from the public? Okay, at this time then I will close the public hearing on the budget. Folks, we have 3 matters of unfinished business. One is an alcohol license application, bingo permit, and then the payment classification plan. Is there any other unfinished business?
No, sir, let's go.
It is my understanding that there will be a motion to remove from the table on item C, the pay classification plan.
Yeah, I would remove that from the table and consider it.
Is there a second?
Second.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilman Jenkins?
Yes.
Councilman Roberts?
Yes.
Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Councilman Harris?
Yes.
Mayor Hurd?
Yes, it is on the floor then, so consent, you have a motion to adopt faint classification. I think we gotta do this one.
I move that we, am I adopting?
Yeah.
I move that we adopt the pay, classification plan as recommended by Auburn Government Economic Development Institute.
Is there a second?
Second.
Council discussion. Hearing none, will clerk please call the roll.
Councilmember Jenkins,
Yes.
Councilmember Roberts,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Harris,
Yes.
Mayor Draper.
Yes, that passes. Our first motion tonight is going to approve bid of demolition for 7 structures through the CBG program to Teague hauling of property 1700 Charlotte. Pretty self-explanatory. Is there a motion for passage or not?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Council discussion. Hearing none, will clerk please call the roll.
Councilmember Jenkins,
Yes.
Councilmember Roberts,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Harris,
Yes.
Mayor Draper.
Yes, that motion passes. Our first resolution tonight, our only resolution actually, is one that was discussed in work session, and it is a resolution authorizing granting utility easement to Anniston Water Works and Sewer Board. Is there a motion for passage and adoption?
So moved.
I'll take Mr. Roberts as a second. Council discussion. Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll.
Councilmember Jenkins,
Yes.
Councilmember Roberts,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Harris,
Yes.
Mayor Draper.
Yes, that resolution passes. We do have 3 ordinances tonight, each of them on their first readings. We certainly entertain motions for unanimous consent to take these up tonight. But the first one we have tonight is an ordinance declaring surplus real property and authorizing conveyance of the same. This is what was discussed at our last work session, I should say, in August, which is the property to Ms. Burnett in Randolph Park area. Is there a motion to read by title only?
So moved. Second.
Second, okay. At this time, I'll call for a public hearing on the issue of reading the ordinance by title only. Does anyone wish to be heard as to that issue? There appearing to be none, I will now close that public hearing and call for a vote on reading by title only.
Councilmember Jenkins,
Yes.
Councilmember Roberts,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Harris,
Yes.
Mayor Draper.
Yes, once again, this is an ordinance declaring surplus real property and authorizing conveyance of same. This is on its first reading. Is there a motion for unanimous consent for early consideration?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. Okay, let's see. Is there a motion then declaring surplus real property and authorizing conveyance? I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Council discussion. Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll.
Mayor Draper, are we making a motion for unanimous consent or for approval?
We have to vote for unanimous.
Oh, I didn't know, I'm not sorry, I skipped that. Yeah, unanimous.
Councilmember Jenkins,
Yes.
Councilmember Roberts,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Harris,
Yes.
Mayor Draper.
Yes, unanimous consent having been granted, my apologies, I will move for passage and adoption on declaring surplus real property and authorizing conveyance of same. Is there a second?
Second.
Council discussion. Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll.
Councilmember Jenkins,
Yes.
Councilmember Roberts,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Harris,
Yes.
Mayor Draper.
Yes, that ordinance passes. Our second ordinance is one adopting regulations to govern revocation of business licenses. I know this has been discussed at a couple of work sessions. Appreciate the work that went into drafting this ordinance. First, is there a motion to read by title only?
So.
I'll take Mr. Roberts as a second. Thank you. Once again, I will call for a public hearing on the issue of reading the ordinance by title only. Does anyone wish to be heard as to that issue? There appearing to be none. I'll close that public hearing and call for
Councilmember Jenkins,
Yes.
Councilmember Roberts,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Harris,
Yes.
Mayor Draper.
Yes, once again, this is an ordinance adopting regulations to govern revocation of business licenses. Again, this is one that's been discussed in the work session. It sets out the process for revoking the business licenses in the event such as becomes necessary based on criminal activity or otherwise. So at this time, is there a motion for unanimous consent? consent.
So moved. Second.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Jenkins?
Yes.
Councilmember Roberts?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Mayor Draper?
Yes, unanimous consent having been granted, is there a motion for passage and adoption of the regulations to govern revocation of business licenses?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Council discussion. Hearing none, clerk please call the roll.
Councilmember Jenkins?
Yes.
Councilmember Roberts?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Mayor Draper?
Yes, that ordinance passes. Our last ordinance and last item of business is the ordinance relating to Anniston City Gardens Complex. This is the ordinance that was discussed in previous work sessions. Again, appreciate the work that we went into drafting this ordinance and putting this together. This essentially combines the boards into an advisory board and sort of streamlines that process. So at this time, with respect to this ordinance, is there a motion to read by title only?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Once again, I'll call for a public hearing on the issue of reading the ordinance by title only. Does anyone wish to be heard as to that issue? There appear to be none. I will call for a vote on the issue of reading by title only.
Councilmember Jenkins?
Yes.
Councilmember Roberts?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Mayor Draper?
Yes, and once again, this is an ordinance repealing and replacing Chapter 2, Article 11, Division 3, governing the Anniston Museum Boards to establish the Anniston Museum and Gardens Advisory Board. Is there a motion for immediate consideration?
So moved.
Take Mr. Roberts as a second. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Jenkins?
Yes.
Councilmember Roberts?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Mayor Draper?
Yes, unanimous consent thus having been granted, is there a motion to adopt the ordinance on the Anniston Museum and Gardens Advisory Board?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Council discussion. Hearing none, clerk please call the roll.
Councilmember Jenkins?
Yes.
Councilmember Roberts?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Mayor Draper?
Yes, the ordinance is adopted. Mr. Folks, are there any additional other matters that may come before the council?
No, sir.
Thank you, sir. We have no public comments scheduled tonight. Let's go to council comments. Ms. Harris, we'll start with you.
I just want to thank again the Anniston Police Department and the three officers who did what they did. They're heroes in my book, and they just made us so proud. And as well as our fire department, I forget to say anything about the fire department, but they are heroes as well. They on my street, they put out a terrible fire a few weeks ago, and they put their lives at risk, and I don't know what in the world we would do without them or without our police department. Thank you so very much.
Ms. Beth.
I have no comments tonight, just have a great evening, be safe.
Mr. Roberts.
Good evening once again. Well, thank everybody for coming out to the meeting. We really appreciate y'all. Again, we just want to reiterate what a great staff we have working with the city. It's exemplified by those three officers that were here. Also, school is back in. It's time for football. But more importantly, guys, let's be careful. Let's take care of ourselves. We still have a lot of sicknesses going around. Let's try to be mindful of each other's time and each other's, I guess, safety. And speaking of the fire department, I think we need to let our citizens know, because I called the fire marshal the other night, 7:30 on a Friday night, because some citizen in my ward was standing out there burning his front lawn in the middle of the night. Like, just standing there like it was okay. Then we have people just running around spreading lies about how things are supposed to happen. I had to bite my tongue because I promised myself something. Ladies and gentlemen, I assure you, the city council is doing the best they possibly can, and we're doing everything we can to help educate and support you. But please, let's stop this stupidity. It's gotta stop. Because I really wanted to send the police out there and have the guy arrested, but I was talked off on that rim. But you live right next to a field with a bunch of trees, and then it caught fire. We lost a life, and then that has been, it's plain ignorant. But I have a wonderful week. We're running football starts this week. Have a great day.
I'd like to thank our city staff for all the hard work, everybody that does everything that makes our city great. I appreciate our council. I appreciate the hard work we do behind the scenes. It looks easy when we're sitting up here and it takes us 10 minutes to get through our meetings. It's because we've done our legwork before we got here. We're not here to waste your time. We're here to move our city forward, and I see that each and every day with our members on this body, and I appreciate you all. It's exciting to me when we have presentations like we did with the young officers that went above and beyond. I'm equally as excited for Ms. Burnett and the things that our regular everyday citizens are doing to move our city forward. All of those things are what makes our city so great and makes me really, truly so proud to be a part of it. So thank you for the opportunity to be up here, and thank you all for all that you do.
I'd just like to thank everybody for coming out once again. You know, it's good to have people here to engage and to voice their opinions. I anticipate that there will be more coming out as we go through the budget process. And I particularly encourage that. It's obviously one of the most important things that this council does is budget. It sets priorities for all of us. And so I would ask those here and watching online to continue to stay engaged, and I appreciate this level of engagement, because again, it is going to take all of us to move this the city forward. With that, I will move that we stand in adjournment. Is there a second? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilman Jenkins?
Yes.
Councilman Roberts?
Yes.
Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Councilman Harris?
Yes.